the journey you go on in a narcissistically abusive relationship, the things you learn about yourself, the insights that you have, and just the nature of the experience is similar to the protagonist in the film, The Shawshank Redemption, because Andy Dufresne starts out being accused of a murder that he didn't commit. And he is betrayed by his wife. It's a terrible betrayal. And he finds out she's cheating on him. And he gets a gun, he gets drunk, he loads the gun, and he goes to confront her and her lover. But then he decides not to confront them. But the problem is they were murdered that night. And all of the evidence points to Andy as the murderer. That's what it feels like when you're in a narcissistically abusive relationship, because the narcissist uses your reactive abuse against you. Even though you were the victim in the situation, the narcissist takes the facts and warps the facts in order to condemn you, to bend, twist, warp, and distort reality and use it against you to make you the villain in the story. And that's exactly what happens to Andy in the Shawshank Redemption. And he goes to prison. The judge, the jury, all of these people who condemned him, that's like the smear campaign. It's like the flying monkeys. It's the triangulation. It's the system being used against you. And that's what the narcissist does. But he's in this prison, and now he has this new life. He's no longer a banker. He's no longer this important person who gets things done. He's now a criminal in with other criminals, categorized as a common criminal. He's lost his purpose. He's lost his meaning. He's lost his faith to a certain extent. He's lost his ability to see the good in life, and he feels depressed. That's what it's like when you realize you've been in a trauma bond, when the person you thought you loved and this person who you thought loved you and that you had this connection with and would be your soulmate, when it turns out that this person is dishonest, this person is disloyal and unfaithful, and this person has been hurting you and they know they've been hurting you, that's a special type of hell. And that's what Andy experiences in the Shawshank Redemption. He experiences a special type of hell. He's beaten up, he's brutalized, he's molested. He goes through all of these horrific circumstances and situations that really make his life a living hell. But even in the midst of that hell, Andy finds a rock hammer, and he uses that rock hammer to take pieces out of his wall to make a hole in his wall that's in his prison cell. And he actually makes a tunnel. Every day, he takes pieces of that wall and he puts it in his pocket. And when he goes outside, he spreads the fragments of his wall outside in secret. Nobody knows. That's the healing process. That's the isolation that transforms into a blissful solitude as you take time to find yourself, to reconnect with your authentic self, and to remember who you are. It's that arduous task of taking out those fragments, taking out the trash, and forging your way to a new reality, to reconnect with your authentic self. And so the other symbolism, as you look at this movie, The Shawshank Redemption, you have two different characters in Brooks and Red. So Brooks had been in the Shawshank prison for maybe 40 or 50 years. And he'd been in that prison, which is symbolic of the trauma bond. He'd been in it so long that he'd come to depend and rely on it. He saw the prison as a source of safety, and he saw freedom as a threat. And so instead of being able to acclimate himself to a new reality, he gave up, he surrendered, and didn't move on with his life. By contrast, Red, despite the fact that he had been in that prison for so long, was able to take the example that Andy gave him, and he was able to hope for a better life. Now, at first, he thought hope was dangerous. He thought he shouldn't trust again. He thought that he shouldn't think about what he'd do when he got out of the prison and just accept that the prison was his new reality. But through his interaction with Andy, and see, this is why it's important to have people around you who can be that example, people who can help you to hope again and to look forward to the future again. And what he did is he used that as a way to grab on to hope and to think of a future again. So when Andy was able to drill himself and drill his path and create that tunnel to travel and navigate literally through all of the crap of the other prisoners, he found himself on the other side. He found himself out of the prison and found himself redeemed. And one of the core messages from that movie is that no one is coming to rescue you. No one's coming to save you. Your redemption, your ability to transcend what you've been through, is going to take reaching down into your inner resources and bringing out that person, reconnecting with your authentic self. You are in a position to save yourself. And that's one of the things that's critical when you're recovering from a narcissistically abusive relationship, is reconnecting with your own reality and knowing how to trust yourself and not relying on external sources to tell you what's real and what's not real. Because that's one of the things that the narcissist does when you're in that trauma bond, is they try to define reality. Because they can, if they can define reality, they can continue to control you and have power over you. The narcissist within that movie is symbolized by the warden, because on the surface, he looks like this religious man who's, doing a good thing, being over this prison and trying to rehabilitate these prisoners. But that's not who he is at all. He's running this illegal operation and he's using Andy as a pawn in order to make a lot of money off of that process, and having Andy involved in that as well. So the warden is actually a criminal. And that's how it is when you really dig in deeper to the nature of the narcissist. You understand that the facade that they have and that the mask that they wear for the public is nothing more than an illusion. But inwardly, you're dealing with someone whose soul is corrupt. And so when Andy finally understands the truth of his predicament and he escapes Shawshank prison, he's able to use everything he learned in the process of being in the prison to build a new life for himself, because he went through the painful process of doing everything that was necessary, building the blocks and building the foundation necessary to escape to an island. That island that was a vision for him. It was his vision. It was his hope of a new future beyond the walls of torment that he endured for 20 years. And because of that, that story, that Shawshank redemption, is not just about escaping from prison. It's about redemption of the soul. It's about redemption of your narrative.